Whitney Koop, I'm so fancy. I'm so fancy, Whitney Koop.
If you could be anything in the whole world, what would you be? I would not be a rock star or an astronaut. I would not be a professional wrestler or even want to solve world peace. No. If I could be anything in the whole world, I would be fancy. I'm so fancy. I drive a Cadillac, and I'm not even a wealthy middle-aged woman. I'm so fancy. If I were a stay-at-home wife, I would plan fundraisers that cost more money than they actually raise. I'm so fancy. The only beer I drink is Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. I'm so fancy. I wear a fur coat to the Toastmasters humorous speech contest. But where did my taste for this high life come from? Well, it all started a few years back when I hosted a brunch for some of my friends at my parents' house. I'm so fancy that when I host a brunch for all of my friends, when they ask, oh, hey, Whit, do you want me to bring anything? I say, oh, thank you so much. But you know what? I have everything covered. The brunch was lovely. It was so much fun. We drank Prosecco and orange juice. I wore my little black dress and my pearls and my fanciest apron. I felt like a 50s trophy wife. It was amazing. When my first guest arrived, with Prosecco in hand, I ran to the door and opened it up and, well, it wasn't actually my first guest. It was a young man who was hoping for the opportunity to mow the lawn. Well, this young man looked me up and down in my little black dress, my apron, my pearls, and my Prosecco in hand, and I think what he saw was a tad unexpected. And I have to tell you, this was probably the single greatest moment of my life. I was certain that I oozed wealth and excess to this young man. Like maybe, just maybe, I would actually have the means to hire him to perform menial labor tasks around my home. But to be honest, I'm really not that fancy. I spent the entire brunch cracking eggs with one hand to entertain my guests, and to be that little black dress I was wearing, that was actually my nightgown, and you don't even want to know when the last time I washed that thing was. But a flavor for a fancier life had been born. Maybe next time I have my friends over, we'll watch golf. I'm so fancy. The only place I've ever been golfing is Paradise Canyon Golf Resort. For those of you who are probably not aware, Paradise Canyon is pretty exclusive. The first time I went golfing at Paradise Canyon Golf Resort, I was so excited to showcase my lavish golf style to my fellow golfers that I went out and bought the biggest hat I could possibly find because I was certain that this would be the best way to demonstrate to my fellow golfers my elevated status. It was time to golf, and I got into position, the athletic position of readiness. And I kept my eye on the ball, but I couldn't actually see my ball, and so I thought maybe I'd see where I was going, but I couldn't really see that either, and so I thought I'd check my ball again, and if you've noticed, big hats and golf, they don't really go well together. But oh well, I'm so fancy, I'm golfing anyways. If I could be anything in the whole world, I would be fancy. I think it seems like fun. But I know who I am, and I'm happy with who I am. I'm no trophy wife, and I fall behind on my laundry. The only reason I have ever been golfing at Paradise Canyon Golf Resort is because I have a friend who works there, and she's able to get us such a good discount. It's honestly the only golf I can afford. But the hardest truth of them all is that I don't even own a fur coat. I borrowed this one from accredited speaker Freddie Dogtrum. She's the fancy one. If I could be anything in the whole world, I would be fancy. But I know who I am. I'm happy with who I am. And I have so many friends and family who love me just the way I am, fancy or not so fancy. In fact, I have one friend who knows me for my not so fancy side. And a few years back for my birthday, she got me this beer cozy. It says exercise. I thought you meant extra fries. I love it. I love it so much that a few years back I took it to a baseball game where I was photographed double fisting a hot dog while chugging a beer. If I've painted a picture for you here, folks, this was not a terribly fancy situation. But there I was, double fisting a hot dog while chugging my beer. And it was later pointed out that in that photograph, I chugged my beer in true Whitney lavish style with my pinky up. Because I am so fancy. Mr. Toastmaster?
You sure?